Values of a yoga teacher: teaching with integrity, with awareness and compassion. Do you ask yourself what truly makes a yoga teacher inspiring, especially when you think about taking this step in becoming a yoga teacher? So it's not only how long they can stand on their head or how many Sanskrit terms they know. It's not about perfect alignment either, or a bookshelf of yoga philosophy books, although this is a great thing to have, really. Knowing is one thing. Living what you know, that's where yoga teaching begins. You can study all the theory, take all the courses, and memorize every alignment cue. But if the teachings haven't been embodied, they haven't been felt, lived, and integrated, they won't land with real impact. The Hatha Yoga Pratipika, one of these yoga philosophy books that could sit on your bookshelf, reminds us no success is achieved by reading scriptures only without practice. Success comes only through practice, not by merely reading books. This is in the first chapter, verse 66. The real growth happens when you begin to apply what you have learned, teach real people, and reflect on those experiences. A newly qualified yoga teacher often thinks that confidence will come with taking specialized courses, taking more training. And so they collect certificates. And I just did the same at the beginning, made the same mistake. But confidence only comes from showing up, teaching from what you know, making mistakes, being imperfect, and letting the rest unfold over time. So with that in mind, let's explore the first value that really sits at the heart of meaningful teaching. It is teaching from self-awareness and a heart of service. Your teaching will be truly impactful when you teach from within, from your self-awareness and sincere desire to serve, to help others. This begins with personal practice. Our own practice reveals the inner patterns that shape how we show up. Fear of not being good enough, the desire to impress, or the need for validation. These often lead us to project our insecurities onto our students, believing they're judging us or that our teaching isn't valuable unless it's constantly praised. This is where the work of self-awareness becomes essential. We begin to observe how our subconscious beliefs influence our behavior. We notice if we are slipping into over-explaining, over-performing, or looking for feedback to soothe our insecurity, and we start to choose differently. We begin to teach from steadiness. When we really know these patterns, when we see what we are doing, we shift from "look what I can do" to "let me help you see what I can do for you." The more we understand ourselves, the more clearly we can serve others without letting ego doubt and cloud the way. When we teach from that place of presence, not performance, students feel this, and those who resonate with that energy will find us, not because we try to be something or someone we are not, but because we stay true to who we are. And as we begin to teach from this place of self-awareness and service, something else becomes important. Staying curious. but also allowing ourselves time to grow. So the second value is embrace the curiosity, but give yourself time to grow. Curiosity and this desire to keep learning are wonderful qualities in a teacher. They help us stay alive to the practice and allow our teaching to evolve. But in the early stages of teaching, it's important to pause. In Germany, where I did my yoga teacher training, we were encouraged not to begin specialized trainings for at least 2 years after qualifying. That space allowed us to find our feet, explore our own voice, and get comfortable simply teaching yoga without pressure, apart from the one that we apply on ourselves, and without rushing into being an expert in something. This approach honors the time it takes to develop as a teacher. Because when we receive our certificate, doesn't mean that we are a complete teacher. It means we have the basic knowledge to teach, and then the real development starts. When you allow yourself that breathing space, you begin to discover who you're drawn to serve and how your teaching naturally wants to take shape. For example, after my son was born, I felt called to support pregnant and postnatal women because of the experience that I made during my pregnancy and postnatal time of how valuable yoga really is for this particular time in life. So I pursued further training, and from that place of clarity rather than reassurance. It was a natural progression, not a decision driven by insecurity or urgency. Let your growth be guided by genuine interest, not fear of being unprepared. You already have something of value to offer. Teach from there. As we grow, our teaching naturally becomes more refined, which brings us to the next value: honesty, humility, and authenticity. Authenticity grows through reflection. Why do I teach? What do I hope to offer? Am I staying aligned with those intentions? The yogic principle of satya, truthfulness, reminds us to stay honest. Honest about what we know and what we don't know, about where we've learned something, about the postures we practice and teach. We should acknowledge our teachers and influences. All the yoga scriptures I know, they start with thanking the gods, the sages, and all the teachers for their teaching. Yoga is older than we are. All postures and sequences are around for many moons. We don't need to try and reinvent the wheel. Our interpretation, or your interpretation, your lived experience, and your way of communicating make it valuable. When we teach with honesty, we create a space for our students to be honest with themselves too. We can show up what it means to be real and not perfect. Humility naturally follows through Ishvara Pranidhana, the practice of surrender. We stay rooted in the understanding that yoga doesn't come from us. There's always something greater guiding the practice, guiding our teaching, something we are in service to. These values keep us grounded. From a place, authenticity can flourish. Teaching from a place of truth also means knowing where our boundaries lie. And just as we honor our students' limits, we must honor our own. So respect boundaries, theirs and yours. A yoga teacher must be able to read and respect the physical and emotional boundaries of their students. Not everyone wants hand-on adjustments. Not everyone is comfortable being seen, and not everyone is ready for more challenging postures or more classes, even if they say, I'll just do what I can. Boundaries work both ways. To hold a safe space for your students, you must also hold clear boundaries for yourself. There will be students who seek more time, more attention, more of your energy. If you give too much to one, you risk losing the group. If we over-accommodate, we dilute the experience for everyone. Sometimes that means gently guiding a beginner to a more appropriate class, even when they insist they'll manage. This isn't exclusion, it's responsibility. Likewise, setting boundaries outside a class protects your own energy. We can't be on call for everyone who wants to talk through their struggles after class. It's okay to close a conversation and create space for rest and reset between sessions. Clear, compassionate boundaries protect the space so that everyone, including yourself, can feel held and respected. Holding space in this way calls for strength, not the physical kind, but inner resilience that's built through practice. The next value is teach with responsibility and resilience. Life happens to all of us. Yoga teachers get stressed too, although all my students think I'm always chilled, but that's not true. But through my own practice, I learned to notice the signs earlier, to pause and respond and stay anchored through these waves. We also understand that discomfort is not the enemy. In yoga, we often cling to what we like and avoid what we don't, just like in life. But resilience is built when we stay with what challenges us, not by pushing through forcefully, but by meeting resistance with presence. You know it's uncomfortable and you want to leave a pose, but you look what happens. Stay curious. Sometimes that means holding a pose we don't enjoy. Sometimes it means showing up to teach even when the day has been hard. In both cases, we grow our capacity to stay steady in the face of challenge, and that strength flows into every part of life. Through practice, we become more aware of our own patterns, like avoidance, over-efforting, people-pleasing. We know all of those. And when we start to shift them, that's the heart of resilience, the ability to stay conscious in the face of discomfort. And when we model that resilience, We also empower our students to find that same steadiness within themselves. And when we live and teach from these values, something remarkable begins to happen. So let's sum it up. Being a yoga teacher is about being perfect. It's about being present, about teaching from lived experience, about showing up with sincerity, humility, and care. These values aren't just for special occasions. They are daily practices that help us stay rooted, authentic, and in service to something greater than ourselves. And when we do teach from that grounded space, the impact extends far beyond the mat. Most students don't come to yoga because everything is going smoothly in their life. They arrive with stress, fatigue, worries, and they leave feeling clearer, calmer, and more grounded. And that feeling doesn't stay on the mat. They take it home to their families, to their work, to their friends. And when they are grounded in their own values and teaching from experience, when we are grounded in our own values and teaching from experience, we help others shift into a more peaceful state where the nervous system relaxes and empathy and awareness increase. That shift ripples outwards. As yoga teachers, we may teach one person, but the impact often reaches many. The way we show up matters. Through presence, clarity, and compassion, we create positive change. Quietly, consistently, and deeply. A note for the new teachers. You don't need another certificate to begin. You need to experience. Start with what you know. Teach from where you are. That's enough. And when in doubt, always come back to this simple question. Am I teaching from love or from ego? That one reflection can guide you more than any training ever will. Hope you enjoyed that. Let me know what your experience is when you are a new yoga teacher, what your thoughts are when you're thinking about entering this path. If this reflection resonates with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. What values guide your teaching or your practice? Let me know.